Hello, this is Dr. Martina, your online sex therapist and sex educator. As long as I've been counseling people about their sexuality, there still seems to be a confusion about what happens in sex therapy. I can't quite, maybe it's because the word sex is in front of therapy that people just have these blunt assumption that certain things will happen, and they're pretty much way off the radar on that. So I have done a clip on what the process is about sex therapy. I have talked about sex therapy. So now I just find myself in a situation where I am doing a video clip on what is not happening in sex therapy. And maybe that will help unconfuse a lot of people and really tell them what wonderful work can be done in sex therapy. So let me tell you what is not happening in a session with a clinical sexologist. Sex is not happening in sex therapy. I had a client walking in and we sat down and said, okay, let's talk about it. And he says, who wants to talk about it? Let's just get it over with. And so the assumption is that I was going to have sex with him. It's not happening. I understand we are a sexually suppressed country, and I understand a lot of people are talking about sex and very few people have sex, but sex therapy is not a place where you can have sex. There's other places where you can do that. In sex therapy you can find out the reasons and you can find tools to figure out what you need to do so you too get to have sex. Arousal is another thing that is not happening in sex therapy. I have been asked, well, how will you get me aroused? I'm having problems with arousal, and how will you get me aroused? Arousal is not something the sex therapy will give you, but what the sexologist will do is they will give you tools that you can learn so you can manage your own arousal. You can increase your arousal, you can decrease your arousal at will, you can you can increase arousal past the point of no return and have an orgasm. Those are all things that you can do because sex is a physical activity that everybody can learn. But you cannot expect the sex therapist to give you arousal, just give it to you. That's just not how it works. Well, will you give me an erection in sex therapy? And that is also something that's being assumed, that if a man has erectile dysfunctions, if they have challenges with their erections, temporarily or all the time, whatever the situation is, you can't just expect that you can call a sex therapist and you walk in there and you're going to get an erection. It is something that you can learn. What you are going to get is you're going to get instructions, you're going to get education, you're going to get understanding why it is that there's no blood flow going into your penis, and what you have to do to optimize blood flow, what you have to do to understand and be aware of what's going on in your body, to the touch and to the stimulation, what you have to do to get the right stimulation so you too can have an erection. All of that you will be able to learn in sex therapy. But just getting one because you show up for sex therapy is not going to happen. Sex therapy is not the place where the therapist, sexologist, will wear something sexy so you can get turned on, or will wear something specific like a fetish that you may have so you can get turned on, and you will have a place where you can outlive your fantasy. Sex therapy is not a place to outlive your fantasies. It is a place that if you do have a fetish and you struggle with it because it really limits your attraction code and it really limits your opportunity to get turned on by something that people would just consider as normal, and you have a hard time getting your attraction wrapped around it, then sex therapy is a place where you can talk about that and you can learn how not to drop your fetish, but you will learn how to increase your attraction with other things so it is not so limited and therefore not so frustrating for you to find satisfaction. I have said this before, that it is my mission to take the stigma out of sex therapy. And in order for me to do that, I had to make this video about, because there's this confusion about the certain things are happening in sex therapy. They're just not true. I hope it helps giving these examples. And just to reiterate again, in sex therapy is a place where you can show up with any kind of a shame you have about sexuality, with any kind of a fetish that you have about sexuality, with any kind of challenges that you have with sexuality, and you can expect that you will meet a professional that will be able to give you tools, that will give you understanding, compassion for what you're going through, and also can put a program together for you, or a treatment plan together, where you can actually overcome those things and come out at the end as a sexual being that is proud of their sexuality, whatever form it has. As long as it's functioning, and as long as it's consensual and sane, and as long as it is something that makes you happy. So if you are ready to invest some time in sex therapy, so you can live your sexuality the way you want to and the way your body desires, then contact me, and I'm very much looking forward to hear from you. I'll talk to you later.